It's because they cheat. Come here. You ever notice how curry's better the next day after sitting in the fridge? Like a fine wine, you need patience and time to draw out those delicious and complex flavors. So how do the best Indian restaurants make a full menu of delicious curries in under 5 minutes? Well, when Gurjeet made the world's greatest chicken tikka masala, she used these 2 sauces to build a ton of delicious flavor in minutes. The first one is a tomato onion masala gravy, and you can do so much with it. I added some tamarind paste and coconut milk to get a tangy and creamy chicken curry. The next day, I did the same exact thing, but added some peanut butter and tahini and swapped out the chicken for leftover eggplant. This is one of my favorites by far, and it only took me 7 minutes to make. And these are just 2 examples. The second one is one that Gurjeet is famous for, and that's her Makhani Gravy, also known as butter gravy. Gurjeet's dal makhani is the best in London because of this sauce. You've got to try it. But that takes her 24 hours to make. I made this one using Makhani gravy and leftover lentils in 3 minutes. And when you combine these 2 magical gravies, you get to eat the most delicious chicken tikka masala at home that, wasn't reheated in a microwave. You can even throw in some greens so you finally feel healthy and, maybe you can start losing those 50 pounds you've been talking about for the last, 3 years? Ooh. I'm not judging. I'm talking about myself, actually. So anyway, to make all this easier, we're going to start out by making a big batch of ginger garlic paste. All of these recipes start by frying ginger garlic in oil, so you can either make it fresh each time, grab the funky tasting stuff from the store, or prep it in bulk. First, peel equal amounts of ginger garlic. I can shake out the garlic here, but you may have to peel it individually depending on where you're located. Throw it in a blender with oil and water, and you have yourself a smooth ginger garlic paste. The oil is for preservation and the water is for consistency, so just add a little bit at a time so that it blends a little bit more easily. The tomato onion masala's magic comes from the dark brown caramelized onions and deep tomato flavor. I got this tomato onion masala recipe from glebkitchen.com. I personally think this is the #1 resource out there if you're going down the path of Indian restaurant meal prep. Almost all the recipes I mentioned before were from his blog, and he has a whole section dedicated to this sauce, which he refers to as hotel gravy. I'll leave the link in the comments. Before you start this off, let's prep our tomatoes and onions. Heat up your pan with medium heat and some oil. This first round of spices is to flavor the oil, which cooks and flavors all the food, so this first technique embeds flavor throughout the entire dish. Cook until they slightly darken and start to bubble a little bit. Let's crank up the heat and add some onions. This part, in my opinion, is the most important part of developing flavor in a curry. As the water evaporates, the onions will brown a little bit. That's great, that's what we're going for. But it's not distributed evenly, and some parts are getting cooked more than others, and look, there's still stuff stuck on the pan. So if we keep this going any longer, we're gonna end up with burnt onion.
We can't let that happen, okay?
So here's the trick. Keep some water next to you and use it to rehydrate the onions. Distribute the brown evenly and get those stuck bits off the bottom of the pan. If you have some stubborn fond like that, make sure you pour the water on, let it boil a little bit, and then it should scrape off pretty easily. You're gonna be playing this game for a little while, okay? Patience. Patience. When the onions are dark brown, you can turn the heat back down to medium-high and add our ginger garlic paste and green chilies. Fry that up for 2 minutes, and then add our spice mix of cumin, coriander, red chili powder, and turmeric. This part is important, so let those spices bloom in the oil and don't let them burn. Look how beautiful and caramelized that sauce is. Now we need to caramelize the tomatoes too. If the dish has tomatoes, I always wait until that addition to add the salt. They're just such a great distributor of flavor. Cook this with some cilantro, turn the heat to low, and partially cover the pot so it stays hot but water can evaporate. Give it some time, but keep an eye on it. You want the fond, but you don't want the fond to burn. Finish it off with some sugar and then add water back for a thinner consistency. Now, you can take a cup of that, cook it up with some green chutney, and I'm telling you, This is crazy. This Makhani sauce was lifted from Dishoom and is quite magical. We're going to start on medium heat with some oil, but this time we're flavoring the oil with garlic, so fry that up until it's light brown. Garlic gets bitter fast, so pull that out earlier rather than later. Let's keep adding more flavor to the oil. And then we go in with our ginger garlic paste. Look, if things are getting too hot too fast, take it off the heat and save it with a little water. Always keep that water close by. I added cashews to this recipe for some non-dairy creaminess. It's not necessary, but I enjoy it. Then we're going to play the same tomato game, cooking it down until it's lightly caramelized this time and the oil is separating from the sauce easily. Then we go in with some butter to make it creamier and those garlic pieces we fried up earlier. Followed by some late addition spices for a more aromatic experience as they're added later in the process. I definitely should have used runny honey for this. And finally, I like to finish this off with some greens. Wait for it to cool down, and once it's blended, you can put together some buttered chicken in only a few minutes. To store these jars, you want to leave them cracked open until they're cold. You can put it straight in the fridge, but I recommend leaving anything really hot outside the fridge until it's a little cooler so the fridge doesn't work overtime. Okay, let's try the gravy first. It has such a deep, rich tomato flavor, and the spices are so nice. I'm glad I blended up all the spices with this sauce. It really comes out. It's really strong, really flavorful. This is a really nice gravy. Butter sauce, creamy and smooth, really subtle spice. Okay, we have our 3 sauces for meal prep, but we're kind of missing, a pretty key ingredient right now. So my hack to make this a really, really easy weeknight dish, the unsung hero of Oaxaca, the grilled chicken program. Ready to go chicken. That wasn't very sexy, was it? No, it was kind of gross actually. I'll make it look nice. Let's cook Gurjeet's Chicken Tikka Masala. I tried to copy Gurjeet's restaurant style by using a ripping hot pan. It gets a little tricky and you have to be prepared, so if you've never cooked like this, cook it at medium heat and it will just take a few moments longer. I started off with a tablespoon of ginger garlic paste and green chili to taste. Then 1 cup of tomato onion gravy and half a cup of Makhani gravy. Because we have spices in our 2 gravies, Gurjeet only added black pepper followed by cream and ghee. That does it for our main flavors, so let's move on to our finishers. These are items that can't be cooked very long and are essential to brightening up the dish and adding a fragrant aroma. Although not completely necessary, without them the dish can fall a little flat. Now that the sauce is finished, we can add our spicy rotisserie chicken pieces to heat them up. A couple onions from the bag, and now it's time to pretend we're fancy. We're looking for contrasting colors to an orange-brown gravy, so colors like white and green go a long way. But accents of red are also really nice. All right, let's see if this thing is any good. That's so good. Okay, but what happens if you don't have good chicken near you? How do you make chicken tikka?